What's going on, guys, and welcome to Old School Game Reviews, the series in which I hold games from previous gen platforms to the same standards as modern day games, minus the graphics. I'm your host, Alph, and today we're reviewing Super Mario 64. One of the first 3D games of its kind, Super Mario 64 holds a special place in the hearts of millions, myself included. However, many games from this generation haven't aged too well, so will Super Mario 64 still hold up in 2018? Let's find out.
Let's go!
The first thing you're likely to notice when starting a game is how it controls, and this game controls very well. Mario feels really good to run and jump all over the place with, even by modern standards, a useful trait to have for a video series where I hold older games to modern standards. Mario runs at the perfect speed, and there are plenty of extra jumping options like the long jump and the side flip that become second nature after a while. Things feel great most of the time, but as with most platformers, there are those instances when Mario just doesn't respond to your movements in the way you want him to. I can't think of any platformers where I haven't experienced this though, so this is to be expected. Moving on to the camera, this is one of the largest flaws that people seem to have with Super Mario 64, and it is pretty noticeable. Ignoring the N64's limitations with the C buttons, the camera often does this weird thing where you want to move the camera to look somewhere else, but it just kinda locks in place and refuses to move. Sometimes, even when you get it to look in the right direction, the camera will just drift back to where it was before. The camera is usually tolerable, but it's still a noticeable flaw that can't be ignored.
Let's go!
Super Mario 64 doesn't really have much of a story. Like some of Mario's other original games, the story is almost non-existent in the game itself. You get little bits of dialogue at the very beginning or when first entering certain levels, but that's about it. Bowser talks to you in each of your 3 battles with him, but again, all he wants to do is get the Power Stars, keep Mario from getting Peach, that sort of thing. It's not much, but neither is the story in a lot of Mario games. The game isn't really story-based to begin with, so this isn't a huge issue for me. While I do think a game should have a good story, there are plenty of people out there who care more about a story in a game than I do. Opinions may vary, but I don't care about Mario 64's lack of story against it to a high degree.
Let's go!
Super Mario 64 is set up with Peach's Castle as a hub world. The castle contains 15 full levels, each containing 7 Power Stars, and 11 secret levels with a combined total of 15 secret stars. All in all, the game has 120 stars in total, and their funness to collect varies greatly. There are 15 100 coin stars, one for each main level, and these are basically all obnoxious to complete. Each main level, as well as a few of the special levels, also has a star where you need to collect 8 red coins, and these are also pretty underwhelming. There are 3 main categories for the manner in which red coin stars are hidden. Category number 1, all of them are scattered all over the level, which is usually just time-consuming and kind of annoying. There's also the option to have them all be in one place and way too easy to collect. The third category of red coin stars is to have the coins in 1 or 2 isolated areas, but the coins are all really tedious or difficult to get. With all 100 red coin stars out of the way, that only leaves 82 out of 120 stars, including the ones that aren't just gifted to you by Toads. Most of the other stars are relatively unique, but their placement quality is somewhat mixed. Many of them are fine, like Big Bob-omb on the summit or Swimming Beast in the cavern, but some of the others have way too vague of hints when entering a level. Things like Blast Away the Wall or Make Wiggler Squirm. If you haven't gotten these stars before, my footage makes them seem pretty basic. To help illustrate some of this subpar star conveyance, I'll walk you through how to get one of the stars I just mentioned, Make Wiggler Squirm. Ahem. Enter Tiny Huge Island and get to the top of the mountain while the level is in tiny mode. Then, randomly decide to ground pound the top of the mountain to drain this pool. Then, turn the island into huge mode and go back up to the place where you just ground pounded and jump in. Now fight the Wiggler and get the star. Yeah, the title Make Wiggler Squirm really inspired me to just ground pound the top of the mountain randomly. Lots of stars are easier to figure out, and they're pretty easy to execute with the internet once you know what to do, but you shouldn't have to look up what to do in your game so many times to complete it. Aside from that, Super Mario 64's level design is pretty good. Each of the 15 main levels feels pretty different, even with the occasionally repeated level themes. This is a common problem that a lot of games have, so I'm impressed with the way Nintendo managed to keep the game feeling fresh throughout its levels. Some levels are entirely unique in theme, like Shifting Sandland, and others with the same theme do different things to feel different. Cool Cool Mountain and Snowman's Land are both snowy levels, but while Cool Cool Mountain is a largely vertical structure that sports a slide sub-level, Snowman's Land is more of an open plain featuring a lake and an igloo sub-level. There's also a giant snowman in the middle. Even when doing the tedious 100 coin stars, the game rarely feels stale due to the varied levels it offers, and it's clear that almost all of the levels had a lot of thought put into making them.
Let's go!
These last two topics are pretty short, but I still think it's important to cover them in this old school game review. First up, overall polish. I think that Super Mario 64 is a decently polished game. It's clear that all of the game's areas had a lot of thought put into them, and very few set pieces feel out of place. The movement system feels really good, but as many people will point out, Super Mario 64 will, on occasion, have you noticed that random invisible walls keep getting in the way of your jumps. These don't typically cause more problems than a few annoyed seconds to retry a jump, and I didn't happen to have any of these moments occur while I was getting footage, but it's still a kind of weird and random problem for a game to have. As a side note, I have no idea where these random invisible walls are even coming from, so if any of you do, let me know down in the comments. Anyway, it's not much of an issue, and it doesn't occur too much. Another thing, there are many widely known glitches and sequence breaks in Mario 64, but nearly all games have at least a few of these discovered, and I can't see anybody accidentally doing some MIPS clipping during a regular playthrough.
Let's go!
The final topic I'll be covering in this review is Super Mario 64's music. Obviously, the computer-generated instrumentation itself is pretty bad, but I'll overlook that as kind of part of the graphics, which aren't counted in old-school game reviews. The actual composition, however, is in my opinion amazing. Almost all of you are probably aware that Super Mario 64 has some of the most iconic songs in all of gaming. From the fun, upbeat Bob-on Battlefield and Slide songs to the mysterious, soothing tones of Jolly Roger Bay, it's clear that composer Koji Kondo knew what he was doing. The biggest issue I have with Super Mario 64's music, then, comes not from the music itself, but rather the lack thereof. Off the top of my head, there's only one song in the entire game that is only used in one area, the Big Boo's Haunt theme in case you were wondering, and some songs like the Slide theme are used in several areas. The Slide theme in particular is used in way too many places, namely the last two full levels in the game. I can only assume that the developers must have been rushing a bit toward the end of development, because the Slide theme doesn't particularly suit these final levels very well at all. However, music isn't the most important thing, and the songs are so catchy that this doesn't usually matter too much.
Let's go!
Super Mario 64, while a classic, is by no means a perfect game. Many of the main objectives in the game are either tedious or too indirectly hinted at to be enjoyable to get, and there are occasional little glitches to encounter throughout a playthrough. The music is also reused a bit too heavily, and the story is pretty lacking. Even with its flaws though, Super Mario 64 is a very fun game most of the time, and if you somehow haven't managed to play it yet, I encourage you to give it a try. Nevertheless, many of its design aspects haven't aged too well, so it pains me to only give Super Mario 64 a 6 out of 10. Before we go, it's time for the first ever Hylian Alph News Flash. Alright, real quick, I would just like to announce the official launching of the Hylian Alph Twitter page. That's at Hylian_Alph. You can follow me. I'll be posting my Switch friend code. You can be my friend on the Switch. It'll be fun, yeah. To the end of the video now. Whoosh! Thanks for watching, everyone. Do you feel differently about Super Mario 64 than I do, or did most of the things I say resonate with your own opinions? Remember to tell me all that down in the comments below, like, subscribe, the whole bagoogle, and have a great day.